All right, everybody, and welcome once again to the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. I'm your host, Mike Parker, alongside my compadre here, Artie Tafoya. Happy 2021, buddy. It's been I want to say, did we slack a little bit? Is there a Christmas hangover that we didn't get together until now, end of January?
No, there wasn't a hangover. There's a little bit of a shutdown, I think, that put a little bit of a nix on our festivities. But we're back open, and I'm back with you, Mike, and I couldn't be any happier.
You got through it. You guys are back open. abcbrew.com right off the top here, just to let everybody know, keep up to date with what's going on with Appalachian Brewing Company and all the brew pubs and the beer and the soda. Just happy to be back with you. It is late January as we record. So I was just going to say quickly, Happy New Year. And I think as we kind of always find a little bit of a theme for our shows, I guess, what's the next big holiday besides Groundhog Day that's coming up? Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. We got the Super Bowl coming up as well, Mike.
That's true. So you want to go deep?
Probably do a lot of takeout wings for the Super Bowl and some, a lot of dine-in and takeout for Valentine's Day and that type of thing. But I'll tell you what, Mike, I'm most excited about our guest today. A good friend of mine. He's I think truly he might be one of the first people I met when I came to town 20 how many ever years ago. I can't even remember now. It's so many years. But just wanted to introduce a buddy of mine who's going to be on the podcast with us today, and it's Ed Yashinsky from Trogs Brewing. So there he is. Ed, you can wave all you want. They can't see you.
Welcome, Ed. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me today. It's great to be here.
All right. Ed Yashinsky is the Vice President of Operations at Trogs. And as you guys mentioned, I mean, this is kind of cool because it's like Harrisburg brewing history and now, Hershey brewing history as well, but as you guys have expanded and moved across the county. But I mean, let's take us back. I'm looking at 1997 or so as kind of a key date in the history of when beer started to be brewed again in the city of Harrisburg. And you guys picked a pretty cool location because it was like a couple hundred yards away from each other, I think. Take us back there.
It was about a mile, but it was close enough.
Yeah, it's funny. I have to say, I can remember, as an outsider, obviously Appalachian Brewing Company was being built, and I can remember the building and everything going on driving by it a lot. And I had a friend of mine who was in the banking industry who told me about Trogs. And I mean, it was very interesting that there was nothing like being said about it or anything until he told me where the location was. And it was an interesting time. I mean, I got into beer really, I'd say in college at Penn State, really hanging out at Zeno's. And first it was checking out good imported beers, and that became just finding interesting American beers as well. And that was like my first foray into better beer. And, with then finding out the two breweries were opening in Harrisburg, literally almost at the same time, it really took off as a reality of, oh, wow, this beer thing, this craft beer thing, or at that time, microbrew was really something and really, really happening and moving. At the time, my background, I was like most people who are VPs of operations in breweries, I have a journalism degree, and and at the time, I was working as a technical writer, but I was also freelancing, and I was writing about two things I loved: beer and music. And I met Artie at one point along the way, and I met Chris and John almost at the same time. And really, I think one of the things that sticks out in my mind is I actually did an article on a magazine that I took 4 people on a beer tour, and we went to 4 breweries, and we went to Trogs and ABC in the same day, and got tours of all the breweries. And that really opened up for me, like, one, a new love of beer, and really a new industry that I sort of wandered into after meeting Chris and John and Artie. I know I volunteered at ABC more than a few times on the packaging line, helping out for a couple hours in exchange for a case of beer. I did it at Trogs as well. I ended up meeting like Chris and John's parents, because like their mom and her tennis buddies would come and help put bottles on the line. And, it was an all hands on deck time, and it was small companies that were starting up, and it was really exciting and really fun.
Those were the good old days where we had volunteer labor.
Completely.
Our insurance companies sort of frown upon it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Department of Labor.
Well, it's a good point. I mean, you talk about, I don't want to say, how things have, any company that grows finds itself taking on at least a couple by necessity, sort of corporate characteristics. When you have a number of employees and you have to have people who manage the employees, when you go from small, grassroots business now to production size breweries and restaurant chains, you have to have some of that structure in place. But Artie, like going back to that, so you meet Ed. He's just one of these guys who sort of, I don't want to say, wanders into the brewery one day and says, I like beer. Could I hang out here for a while? And then he sort of never leaves, or finds a way into the industry. You've met a few people like that over the years. Is that right?
I can't tell you, Mike, how many people we've met like that, that have become family friends and just people I've known forever now. It seems like, that they'll talk to me about how they came in when we were building the Cameron Street location and how, they were like, you're going to do what with this and make it look like what? And a lot of them were really very supportive of us. And some of them were like, these guys are crazy. I don't know what they would think they're going to do. But, it did turn out that Ed and his wife, Patty, a lot of the people that were there in the very beginning, did become very good friends of ours. I mean, we spent many weekends doing pajama parties. I remember something about that, Ed. There was with pinball contests and ping pong. There's a lot of things that we've done, and not only meeting you and Patty, but also meeting your family. I know your families just as well. Probably been over there almost every Christmas.
Right.
For the longest time till our kids got older and everything got more difficult, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, also, I can think of spending time at upstairs at ABC. We used to come in every Thursday night and play pool, and free pool Thursdays, really good. And ironically, it was when it started, it was only the five of us and the bartender, and then we watched it grow over the years until we were like, we can't do this anymore. There's too many people here.
Yeah, right.
But no, it's true. I mean, it was a really interesting time, and it was a really neat, small group of connected people who were, totally involved in the community. And not only that, it was even from outside of the breweries, like going into bars, there was this kind of need to legitimize these beers, and it was like you sort of earned your badge of honor by going and asking for these beers and asking restaurants why they weren't carrying them. It was almost like there was an undercurrent of people who were just totally into what the beer was and really wanted to pull it along and help it. You go to Germany and there's a little brewery in every town, whether the town is 2,000 people or 1 million people. And there's nothing wrong with that model.
So let's talk about beer, because beer is awesome. It's what brings us all together. Guys, what are you drinking here? I'll start off. I've got a Jolly Scottish style ale from Appalachian Brewing Company. Love it. Medium, dark, malty, delicious, little bit of sweetness there. I've been drinking it since I think I got some to have around the house for Christmas, and I'm coming to the end of a case.
I'm drinking a crowler. I went and grabbed a crowler of the Sigma Oasis from our Mechanicsburg location, and I'm actually drinking it out of I guess what's considered to be an actual IPA drinking glass. It is it's sort of very narrow on the bottom, and then it bells up, and I think what the idea is it holds that wonderful aroma in there and waits for you to drink it, so you get it. But this hazy IPA is one of my favorites, and Bruce is just kicking the doors down with the brews he's making there in Harrisburg. So we're pretty excited. How about you, Ed?
I just was a little low on beer at home, and I just grabbed a quick 6-pack of Nugget Nectar on my way out of work, and I'm enjoying it in a Sun Studios shaker pint glass.
Yeah, no doubt. And I got to get some nectar. I usually get some every year just to see what, it's one of those beers that comes out yearly and you get a chance to try it. And it sticks around, what would you say, a few months normally? Or is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a once and done shipment for us. So it goes out, sits around for, it's usually typically around for 4 to 8 weeks, typically in retail. Yeah, we're we're done making it. We're on to the next one. I mean,
On to the next one, right?
You know that
Recently
never
did.
stops.
That's the beer business now, isn't it?
Tell me if I'm right, Ed. I was with a friend last week, and I think he said that he was trying to get over there to the brewery in Hershey to pull in some special edition or something of Nugget Nectar, maybe a double or something like that he was looking for. Is that something that you guys do for a short time run around this time of year?
Actually, that was something we did for the first time this year, and it was a brewery only release. So it was just a couple hundred cases. And we kind of like to, if there's something that we look at how beers can potentially graduate. So if there's something that we like, maybe it's draft only, we might move it up to a small run with some cases, and then we'll determine if it makes sense to, maybe move it out into wholesalers the following year. So yeah, I mean, it was, there's a lot of buzz about it. It was, it sold out really quickly, which is good. And of course bad, because people also make noise if they don't get it. But, that's sort of what happens with limited releases. But yeah, it was I'd call it successful. And, we're definitely planning on making it again next year. We'll make more of it. And, later we'll determine if it's going to be a beer that we also put out that goes into wholesalers as well. But we haven't really decided at this point.
What was that? What was it called, Ed?
It was Double Nugget Nectar.
Oh, the double.
So,
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Got it.
We did. I think 2 years ago we made Blizzard. Well, Blizzard hops has been around for a while, but we made Double Blizzard. And again, it was kind of just a fun little side project. Really well received. And next year we grew it up more. We sent some out into the trade, as you say.
I'm laughing because I know it's probably highly illegal, but there was a guy on Facebook trying to sell a 6-pack of Double Nugget Nectar for like 3 or 4 times what he bought it for. I don't think that's the type of market. I mean, that's the sign of someone who knows that they've got something good on their hands. But I don't think
someone putting up a red flag to the federal government.
Exactly. I think he made it pretty clear that this was not actually for sale.
Oh, I'm selling a can.
Anyway, yeah, congratulations on that. That's
thank
exciting. Special releases are always fun, and seasonal beers are what make local brewing
absolutely
easy to support. All right, guys. Well, listen, we got things kicked off, a little reminiscing under our belt. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about, we all have some ladies in our lives. If we can make it through the Super Bowl and we make it to Valentine's Day, what kind of things do we have up our sleeves? And we'll be right back. Stay with us on the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. All right, and we are back on the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. Mike Parker here, along with Artie DeFoya from ABC, and our special guest is Ed Yashinsky, who joins us from Trogs Brewing Company. Gentlemen, we have a big game on the calendar happening as we got a week to wait, and then we're going to have a big matchup between a veteran quarterback that just everybody just loves, Tom Brady, right? I mean, isn't he everybody's favorite quarterback? So if Tom Brady switches teams, he switches conferences, and now he goes from being from the Patriots to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he will face the Chiefs.
Mike, I was hoping that Buffalo would win. I have a good friend who's a Buffalo fan and got some family up in Buffalo, and I was sort of hoping that Buffalo would win, and then that would sort of redeem them from getting their butts kicked by Tom Brady for all those years. But it didn't happen. So now we've got Tampa Bay. And I just, I think it was about 2 years ago, I took a bunch of guys. We usually go to, we take a trip every year, and we go to a stadium and we watch 2 football teams play that we have no clue or any like of those teams. We just go to check out the stadium, tailgate, and do that type of a thing. So it's something fun that we've done. And we had a chance to get on to Tampa Bay and visit that stadium, and what a great city and town that's become, the St. Pete, Tampa Bay area, Clearwater area. I'm sort of bummed that Tom went there because he's probably one of the people I dislike the most in the NFL, and most of it's because of his success. What do you think, Ed? What team are you looking at here?
Well, as a Dolphins fan, my hatred for Tom Brady runs deep. So I guess I'm pulling for a repeat. But in my fantasy Super Bowl, I think I have Tom Brady as my quarterback. So I also need him to at least throw a couple good beans, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was actually looking at, I've always thought, for whatever reasons, being an Eagles fan, we got lucky a couple of years ago and everything lined up, and my son will always know the Eagles as a Super Bowl champion team, whereas other children his age will always see the Dallas Cowboys as a team that hasn't made been to a Super Bowl for since for like 26 years or something like that. I don't know who's counting.
Mike, being a Broncos fan, I think they lost the first 5 Super Bowls that they were in. And so there were 5 teams that I hated more than anything, and I think it was the Redskins, the Giants, the Dallas Cowboys. That was probably the last time they won, maybe, I don't know. But it's sort of funny how Super Bowls, losing a Super Bowl will make you dislike people. And speaking of Buffalo, they got a lot of people to dislike, I guess, don't they?
Yeah, 4 years in a row, I think, right? Is that what look? Yeah. This isn't a sports podcast for sure, but when you're drinking beer, it's kind of natural with the Super Bowl coming up. So let's talk about it. Super Bowl party planning. That's a big part of what people do, and of course, beer can be part of that equation, and some food. Artie, what's going on ABC wise? How can I incorporate a little ABC into my Super Bowl party this year?
Well, we are going to do some wing specials, Mike. You can come down and get a 12-pack, a case, a sixtel, or a keg of wings. And it's just the size and the number of wings. You don't get the actual keg with the wings, not for that price at least. We can probably work that out if you need to. But we're doing things like that, and we got specials going on at each location, and it's just going to be a fun time. And as with every Valentine's Day, coming up too, we're going to have great specials. We do usually a prefix menu where you can come in and order sort of a shareable meal if you want,
right.
For those people who want to come out and eat in a safe environment and those types of things. So, the great thing about ABC is we've got great, talented people in every kitchen, and they all have their nuances, and it's really amazing how much they know their customers. They'll produce items because they know that this customer or that customer is coming in and is going to be visiting, and they always comes with his wife or whatever. They know to do that barbecue or whatever other thing that they're going to do, and I'm very proud of those guys for the work that they put in and the job that they do.
So let's talk beer. I mean, what beer styles, Ed, would you say go with the traditional Valentine's theme? I mean, for some people, Valentine's is a box of chocolates and a romantic movie, and for other people, it's a big juicy steak, steak dinner or something. What do you? Let's talk about parents and food with some Trogs beer. What would you recommend?
We always like to play with chocolate this time of year, and we're actually about to release a new stout. We're retiring Java Head, and we're replacing it with a beer called Grand Cacao, which is a chocolate stout. So our timing on that is right around is in early February. So we're excited for what that beer is, and we also think that's a really good pairing beer for the winter. We lowered the ABV a little bit on it, down to I think around 6% from 7.5, and changed the hop profile dramatically on that beer. So, kind of like those flavors. Always like at this time of year playing off those kind of colder weather beers like Belgian Triple and stuff like that. I like that taste a lot, and Troganator at this time of year is always a beer that we're really behind. I can be behind Troganator 365 days a year personally, but this time of year especially.
Yeah, and look, I mean, a 6-pack of beer, a case of beer, a couple of crowlers. If the ladies are looking for, a present for the man in their life, you can't go wrong. Pick up something local and try it out. If chocolate is your thing, it's a great time of year to find that kind of thing. Artie, I don't know if you heard, Ed, have you heard this? I just want to say, because we'll talk about some other, Pennsylvania beer companies as we keep it local, but the past couple of years, there was a collaboration, a Yuengling Hershey's collaboration with the Hershey's Porter. And I don't know if my local beer distributor, cashier was correct, but he told me that they may be discontinuing that, and that it wasn't selling. Again, don't want to spread rumors, only repeating what I heard from someone, but that was something. Any word? Do those kind of things make it down the, through the vines to you, other than, people like me spreading rumor?
I haven't heard anything. It's kind of a nice beer. I mean, it's not something I want to drink all the time, but it's kind of refreshing. It's a good beer. I mean, it seemed to disappear pretty quickly. I think this is the first year they put it in bottles. So yeah, I don't know if they were looking at it seasonally or not, but I kind of enjoyed that beer as like a kind of, outside the rails of what I typically drink.
I really, to be honest, I haven't had a chance to try it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't stumbled across it that I would, or I didn't seek out and find it necessarily. But definitely, all those collaborations and everything that the breweries are doing now, even with food companies and other things, it's really turned out to be a great thing, because it's turning on another group of customers to beer. I know that that Trogs does a collaboration with the cheese company down south, right, Ed?
Yep, Caputo. Yes.
Yeah, Caputo, and they, again, it's just you're just turning our beer on to other people and different styles of what we make, and you can't, it's just so valuable to the entire industry to get other people to actually get a glass in their mouth and taste something that is just like where they go, wow, I can't believe that's so incredible. And I've always said that the Pennsylvania brewers make some of the best beer in the country, and I still stand by that.
Yeah, and it's cool. It is neat. And again, no, don't let me just act like I know any inside information. I heard it from a guy, because there was a case sitting there, and he made mention. Hey, have you ever tried that? I said I sure did. I tried it at a Hershey Bears game a couple of seasons ago, and it was great. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the flavor. But I always like when I come across other products, they like a beer that uses. I think there's a beer in Maryland that uses Old Bay, in the beer, and there's, which can be, depending on how you feel about seafood and beer, or if it's reminiscent, it can be good or bad. But those things are worth trying. I like when someone puts something a little bit different, and tries to set themselves apart, because as one beer, one big hit can really get some of your other beers going too. If you have that one big product. So as we talk about beer, and we look forward to Super Bowl, and we look forward to Valentine's Day, and maybe trying a chocolate beer, or pairing something with your favorite dinner. I don't know, guys, I just want to talk about, I think the new thing this year that I'm finding is, when you're looking for a perfect gift for someone, it's not necessarily about giving them jewelry, or again, the box of chocolates or the lingerie is kind of seen as a little passé at this point. I mean, maybe for some people, it's more about experiences. So a couple of ideas here, according to the Thought Catalog online. You got a special woman in your life, maybe sign her up for a class, like a pottery class, or a woodworking class, or something like. Does that sound like fun? Does that sound like something you guys would do for your significant other?
Mike, I was afraid you were going to say, what do we get our wives for Valentine's Day?
I can't give that away, Artie.
If I gave my wife a present for Valentine's Day, I'm afraid she'd faint, or she'd think I did something that I had to give her something, right? Yeah. But I think the experience thing is great. We're able to, I know that Carrie's been down to Caputo Brothers on a cheese adventure type thing, and I don't remember how that. I think the girls just got together for that, but I think experiences like that are great to give as presents. We have the Soda Works tour in Mechanicsburg.
Good idea.
Type of thing that you can get together, and you walk through the plant. You do go through the process, and then you get to make your own soda and take a couple bottles of soda home with you. And, you can even mix a couple together if you want, make a suicide, whatever you want to do. But, in most cases, we have about 10 or 15 different flavors that they can make of their own. That's a great present. But, I know that any brewery tour is also great. And I hope we can get back to giving brewery tours here pretty soon. Ed, are you giving tours now?
No, we're not. I mean, it's just too hard. I mean, we did the tours behind the scenes, and we're just really limiting where people are going. So, no, I mean, I can't wait for some of those things to come back, but I think it's going to be a little while for where we sit right now.
Yeah. What do you think about those experiences as gifts?
Well, as long as it doesn't relate to Valentine's Day, I'm fine. I'm not a believer.
Valentine's Day is definitely a polarizing holiday because
I love experiences. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, frankly, more than anything else, I can't believe I want something this simple, but all I want to do is go to Philly and have a cheesesteak. That's all I want to do. A 4-hour cheesesteak. I'll take the drive, I'll eat it, and I'll drive home. That's all I want right now.
I like the idea of a trip down the turnpike and pick up a hot cheesesteak. So anyway, guys, those are a couple of ideas. And the other things, if you've got family with some kids, board games, card games, just setting up a little night like that, and maybe incorporating while we're cracking open a couple of out of focus double IPAs or a Haze Charmer hazy pale ale from Trogs. Maybe the kids are cracking open an ABC root beer along with us and having a little fun for an evening as a family. All right, when we come back, we're going to wrap things up, and we'll be right back on the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. All right, we're back here on the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. Mike, Artie, and our special guest, Ed Yashinsky from Trogs, joining us here this week. Ed, I'm going to throw the ball to you here because I know that it's a podcast, but we're recording this on Zoom, so I can see you got a pretty fancy wall behind you filled with guitars. You're a musician, and explain how you mixed the worlds of music and breweries together over the years.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm still playing in a band today, but I've always been into music. I've been in music a long time. Early on when Appalachian was open, I think it was before it was even dubbed the Abbey Bar, when they started putting bands upstairs. I was in a band called Case 150, and we played the Abbey Bar a few times. Also, I know one time we brought in my buddy from New York City, a cool band called Mecca Bodega, a Subway band that we totally blew up the second floor at ABC. But yeah, man, I always think of the Abbey Bar as like a great room for live shows. I can remember when Jersey brought in the Hold Steady. Also, I mean, I saw Jason Isbell there. I saw John Spencer Blues Explosion. So many good bands, and some bands I knew nothing about that I would just go because it was just a venue and it was close by, and it was, for a really, really reasonable price, and sometimes no price, just great bands. And, it's still on my list. It's probably the thing I miss most from the last year. The last thing I was supposed to do before this thing started was go to Philly for a concert. And the concert happened, but my wife said, I'm not going. So I didn't go. But March 12th, I was supposed to see a concert, and I never made it. It was my birthday present.
Who were you going to see?
A band called Mondo Cosmo.
Nice.
But a ton. I mean, just a ton of great bands. And, Harrisburg at that time really didn't have like a booming live music scene, and ABC filled a great void. And then, it's what I'm missing.
Yeah, we had so much fun over the years putting on concerts there. And just, you never knew what to expect, from every weekend. And sometimes they were great and sometimes they weren't as great. But all in all, everybody who came to those events really enjoyed themselves and enjoyed that idea that you could be in that room. The one thing I loved about the room is you could be up by the stage and you could really get that full experience of a concert. But you could also be sort of mid-range, and it wasn't like as loud, right? And you could actually be in the very back of the room and you could carry on a conversation somewhat. So it was really nice. That length of that room sort of offered that. And if you wanted to get away from it totally, of course, you could go out on the rooftop deck and hang out there as well. We had some great plans for this year. We have a new GM there, and he's young and he's got some great plans, and he's really excited about getting back into music. But one of the things we talked about is actually doing a video screen out on the rooftop deck, so you can see the concert, you can experience the concert, and still be an open air type situation. So, all those things hopefully come into play. We've sort of got everything already purchased and put in place, and we're excited. I talk to Sarah all the time, and we just, like, hey, you ready to take a chance at it yet? And we're just not quite there, at this point. But soon enough, hopefully we can get back together and we can get things going, and we can implement some of those programs and have some great concerts here in the future. So very excited about everything that's coming. I mean, we really just need to make it happen at this point in time. And I've talked to Ed numerous times over the pandemic, and we've talked about, hey, what are you guys doing? What are we doing? Trying to get a feel for what everybody's doing so you can use that knowledge to make good decisions. But, he's always someone who I've been able to lean on a little bit as a friend. And I know that anytime Ed calls, we're usually calling each other for some sort of a favor in most cases. But that's okay. That's what friends do. And we're very excited about, that opportunity that we have together to sort of lean on each other.
Yeah. I agree, my friend. 100%. Right. That's what friends are for.
That's right.
Well, we wish you guys, wish you the best. I mean, Ed, it'd be great if you could get back on stage. Artie, love to see you be able to, open the Abbey Bar back up for live music. Definitely a void there in downtown Harrisburg that everybody's missing. I know people have adjusted to, going to a restaurant, sitting down at a table and, wearing the mask on your way there and taking it off when you're at your table and eating your meal and stuff. And people go out to eat all the time, but I've seen some of the dancing that goes on at the Abbey Bar too, which is another. So, I don't know if people would be able to contain themselves if you told them they had to sit on a chair or at a table. So, the time will be right, and you'll know. I think like they said, you'll know when it's time, I guess. But I look forward to taking part in that again, because the Abbey Bar, man, that's just a gem, not just for Harrisburg, but for the region. Really, you have these bands that come in from all over the country, and oftentimes playing bigger venues that stop in at the Abbey Bar because it's a convenient spot along the way, and they know they'll have a great time. So listen, final thoughts, guys, as we get back into the podcast groove. It's been fun to have you on, Ed. It's nice to have the perspective of another old time friend of Artie's, as well as another brewer. What do you want to tie? This is the time. What do you want to plug that's coming up over at Trogs or in Ed's world?
Oh man, I was not planning on that. I'll plug myself. I have nothing going on every weekend. I'm very free.
Right, I'm in, Ed.
Are you on Twitter? Are you a good Twitter follow? I don't know.
I'm not a Facebooker or a Twitterer. You can find me on Instagram at OneRainDog. ONERAINDOG.
All right. Good enough.
One thing, Mike, before we go, I want to just send my best wishes and my prayers out to Bill Kovaleski. Apparently, a couple days ago, they lost their Kennett Square tasting room to a fire. So, I contacted him, and he's fine. Everybody's fine. They didn't have anybody get hurt, from what I understand, and just want to throw that out. We're like brothers in this business, and I want to make sure that Bill knows that we're thinking about him and our prayers are with him, and hopefully they can rebuild that tasting room and get back to business at some point here.
Ed, I'm just going to throw it in here because, I know your friends are listening. So trogs.com, TROEGS.com. Okay, buddy? There you go.
There you go.
That'll make the marketing folks happy. And for all your Appalachian Brewing Company needs, find your the specials coming up for the Super Bowl. It's some holiday, or not holiday, but Valentine's ideas. Maybe call in ahead and find yourself a seat to take the significant other out, or just some friends. You can have people have anti-Valentine's Day parties too together. They get together, the what do they call that? The Lonely Hearts Clubs and stuff like that. We'll get just some people who maybe who don't have someone. We're thinking about them too. It's a great place to go.
Mike, I was afraid you said anti-vaccination parties.
Anti-vaxxers. Yeah, I don't know.
I was like, okay, no, let's not go there.
I don't know what I'm saying, Artie, honestly. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank our guest, Ed Yashinsky. As always, Artie, Appalachian Brewing Company, everything ABC, from the craft beer, the brew pubs, the craft soda, the Appalachian craft spirits. Loving those here at the house during the pandemic, as you know. abcbrew.com. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Ed, Artie. We'll be catching you next month. So we'll talk about some spring beers and the transition out of the winter into the warmer months. And we'll see you next time right here on the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast.